Should I travel to the White Mountains, New Hampshire, to see fall foliage? If you're looking for an incredible fall foliage road trip in New England, should you travel to the White Mountains of New Hampshire? Yes, but there's something important to understand before you go. The White Mountains aren't a single town. They're a large mountain region filled with scenic highways, mountain passes, waterfalls, forests, small towns, and some of the most spectacular autumn scenery in New England. And if you enjoy scenic drives, the White Mountains may be one of the best fall destinations in America, but there are some downsides. Peak foliage weekends can be extremely crowded, foliage timing is never guaranteed, and you'll definitely want a car. So, should you travel to the White Mountains, New Hampshire for fall foliage? Let's find out. What are the White Mountains in New Hampshire? First, let's clear up one common misconception. The White Mountains aren't a town. They're a mountain region in northern New Hampshire that includes the White Mountain National Forest, state parks, scenic roads, mountain passes, waterfalls, hiking trails, and numerous small communities. For a fall foliage vacation, it's better to think of the White Mountains as a road trip destination rather than a place where you stay in one downtown. The scenery changes as you drive through the region. You can go from mountain valleys to dramatic peaks, waterfalls, covered bridges, and colorful forests in a single day. And that's part of what makes the White Mountains so special. The journey is part of the destination. Why visit the White Mountains to see fall foliage? During autumn, the forests covering the mountainsides turn brilliant shades of red, orange, gold, and yellow. But unlike a traditional fall foliage town, you're not just looking at colorful trees, you're seeing those colors against rugged mountain peaks, winding roads, rivers, waterfalls, and mountain passes. And one of the biggest advantages is that you don't necessarily have to hike to experience the scenery. Many of the region's best views are accessible by road. That makes the White Mountains particularly appealing if your idea of a great fall vacation involves getting in the car and exploring. Let's explore the pros of seeing fall foliage in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. The three biggest reasons to visit the White Mountains for fall foliage. Number 1, the Kancamagus Highway. The Kancamagus Highway is probably the biggest reason many travelers put the White Mountains on their fall foliage bucket list. The approximately 34-mile route runs between Lincoln and Conway through the White Mountain National Forest, and the drive itself is the attraction. Along the way, you'll find scenic overlooks, waterfalls, hiking opportunities, mountain views, and plenty of places to stop for photographs. During peak foliage, the highway can become a spectacular corridor of red, orange, and gold. But don't make the mistake of thinking you should simply drive from one end to the other. Leave time for the overlooks. Stop at the waterfalls. Take a short hike if you want. Explore the covered bridges, and give yourself plenty of time for photography. One important warning: the Kancamagus Highway can get extremely busy during peak foliage weekends. If you can, arrive early or visit during the week. And don't be afraid to explore some of the region's other scenic roads. Number 2, Franconia Notch. Another major highlight is Franconia Notch. Franconia Notch State Park combines dramatic mountain scenery with colorful forests, waterfalls, hiking trails, and scenic viewpoints. You can explore areas around Cannon Mountain and the Flume Gorge, or simply enjoy the scenery from the road. What makes Franconia Notch particularly impressive is the scale. The foliage isn't just around you, it's climbing the mountainsides around you. For many visitors, this is one of the most memorable parts of a White Mountains fall foliage trip. Number 3, Mount Washington. Then there's Mount Washington. At more than 6,000 feet, Mount Washington is the highest peak in the Northeast. For travelers who want to take their fall foliage experience to another level, literally, it's one of the region's most dramatic attractions. The Mount Washington Auto Road allows visitors to drive toward the summit, where the scenery changes dramatically with elevation. And there's an important catch. The weather at the summit can be dramatically different from the weather in the valleys. It can be much colder and windier, so check conditions before heading up. But when conditions cooperate, the views across the Presidential Range and surrounding mountains can be spectacular. Next, let's explore the 3 downsides of visiting the White Mountains for fall foliage. The 3 biggest downsides: of course, no destination gets a free pass here. The White Mountains have some significant disadvantages during fall foliage season. Number 1, crowds. The biggest problem is crowds. The White Mountains are one of New England's most popular fall destinations. The Kancamagus Highway, scenic overlooks, parking areas, and major attractions can become extremely busy during peak weekends. Expect traffic, expect crowded viewpoints, and expect higher hotel demand. If you dislike crowds, consider traveling during the week or exploring some of the region's less famous roads and towns. Number 2, foliage timing isn't guaranteed. The second problem is timing. Fall foliage doesn't follow a calendar. Weather, elevation, and location all affect when the leaves change. The White Mountains generally see some of their strongest foliage from late September through the first half of October, but the exact timing changes every year. Higher elevations can change before lower areas. Different valleys can peak at different times. So if seeing peak color is the entire reason for your trip, monitor foliage conditions before you go. Number 3, you need a car, and the third downside is simple. You'll want a car. The White Mountains span a large region, and many of the best experiences involve scenic highways and mountain roads. That's fantastic if you enjoy road trips, but it's not ideal if you want to stay in one walkable town and explore without having to drive. Where should you stay when you travel to the White Mountains in New Hampshire to see fall foliage? Because the White Mountains are a region rather than a town, where you stay matters. Two of the most convenient bases for a first fall foliage trip are North Conway and Lincoln. North Conway is particularly convenient for exploring the eastern White Mountains and Mount Washington Valley. It also has plenty of restaurants, lodging, shopping, and attractions. Lincoln is especially convenient if you're focusing on the Kancamagus Highway, Franconia Notch, and the western White Mountains. Other options include Jackson, Franconia, Gorham, Littleton, Bethlehem, Bartlett, and Woodstock. The best choice depends on which part of the White Mountains you want to explore. How many days do you need to see the fall foliage in the White Mountains? For a quick visit, a weekend can cover the Kancamagus Highway and some of the region's major highlights. But 3 days is probably the sweet spot. That gives you enough time to explore the Kancamagus Highway, Franconia Notch, Mount Washington, and additional scenic roads without spending the entire vacation behind the wheel. If you have 5 days, you can slow down and explore multiple parts of the region. And that's really the best way to experience the White Mountains. Don't rush, explore, stop often, take the scenic route. Can you visit the White Mountains without hiking? Absolutely. That's one of the White Mountains' biggest advantages. You can experience spectacular scenery from the Kancamagus Highway, Franconia Notch, the Mount Washington Auto Road, scenic overlooks, waterfalls, and mountain roads without committing to a long hike. Of course, hikers have even more options, but you don't have to be an avid hiker to enjoy this destination. The White Mountains in New Hampshire versus Stowe, Vermont for fall foliage. So how do the White Mountains compare with another famous New England fall destination like Stowe, Vermont? It depends on the experience you're looking for. Stowe offers a more concentrated village and mountain experience. The White Mountains are more about dramatic mountains, scenic drives, and exploring a larger region. If you want charming Vermont scenery and a classic New England village atmosphere, Stowe may be the better choice. If you want a mountain road trip with dramatic scenery around every turn, the White Mountains may win. The White Mountains versus the Berkshires for fall foliage. The same idea applies when comparing the White Mountains with the Berkshires in Massachusetts. The White Mountains are better for dramatic mountain scenery, mountain passes, and scenic drives. The Berkshires are better for travelers who prefer small towns, rolling hills, art, history, and leisurely country roads. There's no universal winner. It depends on the kind of fall vacation you want. Who should visit the White Mountains to see fall foliage? The White Mountains are particularly good for fall foliage lovers, scenic road trip travelers, photographers, outdoor enthusiasts, hikers, couples, families, and anyone who loves mountain scenery. But you may want to skip the White Mountains if you dislike driving, mountain roads, crowds, or unpredictable foliage timing. And if you're looking for a warm weather or beach vacation, this probably isn't your destination. Final verdict. So, should you travel to the White Mountains, New Hampshire, to see the fall foliage? Yes. If you're looking for a spectacular fall foliage road trip, the White Mountains belong near the top of your list. The Kancamagus Highway, Franconia Notch, Mount Washington, and the region's countless scenic roads create an autumn experience that's difficult to match. The White Mountains aren't simply a place to see colorful trees. They're a place to drive through the foliage, climb above it, hike among it, and experience it from almost every angle. Yes, peak weekends can be crowded. Yes, foliage timing is unpredictable. And yes, you'll want a car. But if you're willing to embrace the road trip experience, the White Mountains offer one of America's great fall vacations. If you're planning a New England fall foliage trip, check out our other destination guides at Should I Travel To. And if you're deciding between the White Mountains, Stowe, the Berkshires, or another fall destination, check out our comparisons to help decide which one is right for you, because the best destination isn't necessarily the most famous one, it's the one that's right for your vacation. Should I travel to? 3 pros, 3 cons. You decide. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and check out our other travel comparisons.